Okay, I greet all of you. It is the afternoon of Thursday, November 2nd, 2017, in the lunar cycle Itotstui, and it is time for my weekly update. Okay, so what happened in the world of Rye over the last week or so that hasn't made it onto the YouTube channel? Probably quite a bit, but I think I'll just hit the highlights. I guess one of the bigger things is that I got a call from my mom in Oregon, and she asked if I would be willing to take a extended weekend before the holidays and fly down there, and she would foot the bill. I think she just wants to see me. She hasn't seen me for a while, for a couple of years at least, and it's been longer since I've been down to visit her. That last visit she was up here. She was in the hospital recently, and I guess it was, some internal issues, and it was kind of scary. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, or if it's just been a while and holidays are coming and she'd like to see her firstborn. Any case, I asked Mahoney if that was cool. My mom just wants to see me. We don't have a bunch of money that we can all travel down as a family, but I could shoot down there for just a couple of days and come home, and so Mahoney's good with it. So I called Eagle Travel Services in Sarsi, in Sutina, and talked to Prem. She's my travel agent I've been using for years. Had her book me the flight, and when all was cut and done and the money was in her hands and the ticket was confirmed, I got my usual email with my flight itinerary. But then I got another email unlike any that I've ever received before, and it was immediately after the flight itinerary came to me. I got an email from Google informing me that they had added my flight itinerary into my Google Calendar for me. Now, I didn't know that was a thing. That's never happened to me before, but it got me really wondering, like, hey, that travel agent was sending that information to me. She wasn't sending it to Google. How did they get my flight itinerary before I even got it? Before I even looked at it, they had my flight itinerary and they already had it in my Google Calendar. Like, what's up with that? I mean, not that it's a big deal to me in this instance, but there may be other things down the road where I don't want Google to know my schedule. And I don't know, I found that pretty interesting, and it just shows where things are going. It's another step along that road, and I'm not the crabby old guy who's against having more transparency in our lives and being having information about me and my whereabouts and this and that available for certain purposes. It can't just be available for anybody for anything. But if it's something like, this is facilitating some helpfulness on Google's part. They're putting the thing in my calendar already. I don't have to go in there and plug it in. That saves me a step. So in that sense, it's good, right? It's good, but it's that precedent that it sets that's creepy, right? It's a creepy thing. Don't want Google knowing about your stuff before you do. Like, couldn't there be like a thing in the travel agent's email where you give like permission to share it with Google? Like, she sends it to me and there's a little something, click on this link if you want your travel itinerary to go to Google for your Google Calendar. I mean, wouldn't that make sense? Wouldn't that be appropriate? I'm sure there's some setting, some kind of like privacy setting that I just don't have set to what I would expect. But yeah, for Google just to come up with my travel itinerary like that, I don't know. To me, that's a little bit entering into a zone that I'm not completely comfortable with. Although, I'm not going to fight it. If that's the way things are going, that's the way they're going. And you might as well embrace it and figure out how to make it work for you. But yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, just checking my notes through the week. I've been making just a couple of little notes, of things that I might want to talk about in my update. And one of the ones that I noted was this incident that occurred in the coulees. I'd gone down and I was picking bullberries, and then as I was walking back up, as I was starting my walk back up, I was coming off of the kind of the deer trail that I was on to pick berries. I was coming up to the main trail, the human trail, and I seen this couple, this man and this woman, walking toward me. And I stopped, near the intersection of the trail, and I was going to wait for them to pass me because I didn't want to, I was carrying a bucket and an umbrella and a stick and my camera, and, I was carrying a bunch of crap, and I didn't want to be like walking in front of them, slowing them down, right? So I kind of waited. I stopped and I waited for them, and then they had been walking a pretty good pace when I first looked at them, but it was like as soon as I stopped to wait for them, they slowed way down or something. And so there was this moment where I kind of I don't know, I must have given a look to the guy. I didn't give it to the girl, but I must have given this look to the guy like, really? You guys are going to be this slow? All right, I'm going to go ahead. And then I went out onto the trail, right? Went out onto the trail and started hiking. And then no sooner did I start, then I kind of get this, sense, like a sixth sense of that there's a little tension going on. And I kind of glance back and I see that the guy is marching pretty quick now, and he's in front of his wife, or whoever that was, his girlfriend, his wife, or whatever. He's in front of her, his partner, and I think he's trying to catch up to me, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to let it happen. I'm just going to keep walking forward, and I'll walk at a good pace, and let's see what goes on, right? So I started walking at a good pace. It reminded me of the time that I got caught fishing in a no fishing zone, and I had like this walking race with this guy who was probably 20 years older than me, but it was just embarrassing. Two older, mature men, kind of race walking to our vehicles because he wanted to get my license plate number so he could turn me in for poaching fish. So I was racing him to the parking lot, and this week I was racing to the top of the coulee. It was a complete ego thing. Like I could tell, I don't know what it is, but there's a lot of unspoken language, and I could tell that I must have given that guy a challenge, right? In the little vibe and the little look that I gave him, there was some kind of a challenge, and so he wanted to catch up to me, but he didn't want to make it look like he was trying to. He wanted to make it look like he was just hiking up and I was going to get in his way. He'd have to go past me, kind of a thing, right? Didn't work out though. I created such distance, and the woman was slowing him down because he had to kind of, even though he did at one point kind of like leave their fluffy dog with her and head out on his own in front of her to try to catch up with me. When he got a certain distance from her, he knew that like, okay, he's not walking with her anymore at all, and maybe he should. So he stopped and he waited for her. By the time he got up to the coulee rim, I was long gone. So yeah, I thought that was a funny thing. Another thing that kind of got me chuckling this week was I went over to Canadian Tire. I wanted to buy some antifreeze coolant, and I just seen on their clothing rack in the sporting goods area they had these camouflage hoodies, and one of them is kind of almost a winter, you know, it's a white camouflage with some orange and brown leaves, a little bit of orange and brown leaves and stuff, kind of like this time of year right now. Hey, I was looking at it, I was like, gee, I would like that hoodie. Almost bought it. I even tried it on right in the aisle there, and then I had it in my hands. I was gonna go buy it, but it's $50, and I was like, God, it's got to be a better deal on the internet. And it's just an impulse buy for me. And it's I find that I'm starting to get pretty addicted to wearing camouflage clothing. I really like camouflage. I've always got some camouflage. Even then, look, I got the inside of my jacket, which is reversible, is all camouflage, right? I find myself wearing lots of camouflage, and it's a good, you know, I'm comfortable in it and stuff. I just don't want it to get like Duck Dynasty. I don't want to be all camouflage, you know, because there's something that's not right with that, and you shouldn't have camouflage every day on either, right? Camouflage is the kind of thing you should wear, you know, like either the top or the bottom is camouflage, either your pants / shorts or your shirt, but not both, right? Not both. And not every day, you know. Take a break. This is my inner dialogue. So yeah, I recognized that I was impulse shopping for camouflage, and I put the hoodie down. I put it down. But man, I would really like a winter camouflage hoodie. It's nice and thick and warm. Man, I could go for that. Of course, this week was also Halloween, which meant a couple of things to me. Number one, it's Halloween, so there's gonna be, you know, tricks and treats, and I'm gonna have to be at the door, but it's also gonna have to maybe go trick-or-treating with Isabel because it's a school night. It was Tuesday, and she stays with us during the school week. Her mom took her out a few days before to get a costume. I don't know what the character is, but Belle wanted to be something from an anime show, and I don't know if she got the character that she wanted. She kind of was late to go to the Halloween shops to get the costumes that everybody wants or whatever, but she ended up getting this purple bunny mask, and then they didn't have the body to match it, so her mom bought her like this onesie at Walmart, and it had some designs on it. She tried to Rit dye it just straight purple. And you know, the thing about Rit dye is it's a cool idea and everything, but it doesn't overcome, you know, unless your vehicle, you know, your fabric is just white and very absorbative to begin with. Rit dye never does a great job dyeing things, so this didn't turn out all that perfect. You know, it was purple like the bunny was supposed to be, but you could see the old pattern underneath, and Belle started getting self-conscious about that. Like, nobody mentioned it to her or anything. I didn't even see the costume until she was having a problem, which was Halloween morning. You know, we woke up and I was trying to get her to get ready for school, and she was, you know, she was not wanting to go to school, and I really had to pry and kind of try to figure it out, try to weed it out, and you know, do my detective work. But eventually it got down to that she was worried that she's gonna get teased about her Halloween costume, about her bunny thing. And so, you know, of course, I tell her, well, you don't gotta be the bunny, you know, you can be something else. Let's see what we got around here. So we had some like Jack Skeleton clothes and stuff. She was thinking about just going in a whole Jack Skeleton outfit. And then I told her, well, what about jujitsu? You know, you got your Gracie Bullyproof clothing. You can wear your jujitsu outfit, wear your belt and everything, and the costume is you, right? And so that's what she chose. She chose to be, you know, she would be her own hero for Halloween and go as a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu player. So that was cool. She went to school with a much more confidence, came home, and then I didn't even have to go trick-or-treating with her. Her sister, her first cousin, was going out with a friend, and so they took Belle with them, and they all had a good time. She came back with a buttload of candy, like a big shopping bag full of candy and chips and all kind of stuff. Which brings me to the other thing about Halloween, right? Point number one, Halloween is Halloween. It's going to be all that stuff. Point number two for me, Halloween was October 31st, and that was the end of the month. And normally, I could care less about what day of the Gregorian calendar it is. But this time around, October 31st was significant because it meant that my Sober October challenge was done, completed. I kind of had that hush-hush, but all month long I was doing the Sober October thing where you're not allowed to drink any alcohol, no beers, no wines, nothing. And so I decided to do that, and went along and did it. No, not a big deal, but I think along the way I pretty much replaced what might have been my kind of sugar intake through alcohol. I just replaced it with candy and garbage food and stuff. Like, I've been eating a lot of chocolate. I've been eating a lot of different pastries and stuff that are just, you know, sugar dough. And yeah, I've been really struggling, especially in the late night. I just start snacking. I think I mentioned that on my last Thursday update. I just go snack crazy, and mostly with a lot of sugary, high carb stuff, you know. So as we approached October 31st on my Salubrious Indulgence group on Facebook, I started putting the idea out there that maybe I should come up with a challenge for November, since the Sober October thing went so well. Why not do something for November? Find something that rhymes with November. Or, you know, since it's November, you could do no something, right? Or you could do Mo. You could do Movember, and you could do Mo something, you know. You know, I don't know. I've played around for a day with different rhymes and stuff that I might do, and ultimately, by the time the morning of November 1st came around, which was yesterday, I had to decide on something. So what I decided was no sugar dough Vemba. No sugar dough Vemba. Yeah, no sugar dough Vemba, which is no sugar and no, like, just doughy pastry stuff that's doughy sugar, you know, none of that stuff, right? To try to cut the sugar out. I took a October 1st photograph of myself, you know, in private, and I took a November 1st photograph of myself. I think going without beer for a month, I gained weight. Sure did look like it. Whatever the numbers say, but yeah, so I'm gonna do a no sugar November. So of course, you know, November 1st has to start right after Halloween, and we got tons of candy and sweet stuff at the house, and I can have none of it. And I think this probably is just some of my usual masochism, you know, coming into play as well. I know that this is probably, aside from Christmas, probably the most torturous time to try to go without candy, or allowing yourself to have some sweets and stuff. No pie, no pumpkin pie, you know, no pumpkin lattes, no pumpkin loaf, all that Starbucks stuff. None of that, you know? Yeah, torturing myself. So that's what I'm doing for November. I'm getting that one kicked off. And who knows? Maybe I'll figure out a whole year's worth of goofy, rhymey stuff that goes with the names of the months. There was a point where, didn't I say I wasn't going to do any challenges? Like a couple of years ago, I was like, no more challenges. I don't like these challenges. Now I'm doing them again. Anyway, I guess that's pretty much been my week. Oh, big news for this evening, but that'll come into play, I guess, probably in next week's update. I got a new jiu-jitsu partner, possibly. He has no training background, but he found me through the Gracie University site, and he's interested in training jiu-jitsu. So we'll see what happens. And he's got a 10-year-old son. He's about the size of Isabel. So Isabel might have a training partner her own size out of this too. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that'll be part of next week's update. Whatever goes on there, that's going to happen tonight. And that's been my week.